feels, there's a little bit of glue still in the deeper recesses. So it's taken me about an hour. The water softened the glue a little bit, but didn't really dissolve it. And I was able to get in there with various tools. I had pokey things and scrapey things and cutty things and various other implements to try to just get some of the schmutz out. If I put it together, it's not great, but I think it's good enough. What I might end up doing is using an epoxy to help fill some of these gaps instead of just an ordinary wood glue. Down here is a pile of some of the schmutz I peeled out, and you can tell by the color of it there's a lot of wood fiber in there. It's not just glue. So here's the joint joined together. There's no glue in there. It didn't come out as good as I had hoped. This was actually my second attempt. Even though I had shimmed under here, it didn't seem to lift this end up high enough, and the hole I drilled was very off center. And if you look at it, this piece still sits a little bit higher over here, and it's a little harder to see that way. But I think I need even more shims under these two sides to lift this side even higher. So I'm going to give that a shot. I'm going to have to pull this apart and put a wood dowel in there with some glue so that I can glue a new hole. There you can see the remnants of the first dowel that I put in the hole to repair it. See if I can get this thing to focus a little better. Well, it took an embarrassing number of attempts, 6 to 7, but I finally got the holes to line up the way I wanted. I think when I first drilled this hole over here, I didn't quite drill it all that straight, which gave me trouble when trying to drill this one. Originally I had it set up like this in the jig so that the tape was facing up and toward the camera more or less. I ended up rotating it 90 degrees so that the tape was still facing up but sort of away from the camera, and that allowed me to put some shims on one side and get these two to more or less line up. I used the dowel that was already embedded in this one as a guide for this one, and I could kind of visually line them up. And that is a good joint. In fact, even without glue, it's pretty strong. So I'm going to glue this one up now. This is the second one. It seems to line up when I have the tape facing this way and a double piece of sandpaper as a shim. And it looks like those two nest into each other just about perfectly. There's a hole with a dowel in it, and I don't know how well you can tell, but that's not very well centered. I would have had to create a different block to actually get it in the center of this dowel. I don't think the baluster is lining up perfectly in the axis of the jig or whatnot. But what is important is that if I align this the right way, this slips right on. So as long as I can get this piece to sit correctly in the jig and drill this direction through the block, I should get the holes to line up. Here's the first one, and the glue joint is right there. which in good light at this angle it's pretty easy to see, but I think that joint looks pretty good. When this is installed, I don't think anybody will ever know that there's a break right there in the baluster, and it's good and strong, probably as strong or maybe even stronger than the original. And here's the second one. The glue joint is right here, and the same thing. I think that's very discreet, not very noticeable. There's a little bit of a divot in the wood right there, which again I'm not terribly worried about. I tinted the epoxy basically with sawdust from mahogany, so it's got kind of a brown color, a little bit of a gloss, but again in the installation I don't think anybody's ever going to see it, so very happy.